Gaming Build presents 14 most pointless fun side activities we wasted a ton of time on. Sometimes the grind of saving a kingdom or slaying the last robots can just get to a hero, you know? Side activities, the second cousin of the side mission, rarely do anything more than provide a brief moment of respite or a fun minigame for the player to distract themselves for a few moments to bring some variety to a title. Then, sometimes, these side activities are a little too fleshed out, making us tear ourselves away when we're reminded that, oh right, I'm supposed to be stopping the end of the world or something. Make sure you share your favorites, whether we had time for them on this list or not, in the comment section below. Demon Destruction Minigame, Doom 2016. Between all the ripping and tearing, sometimes the Doomslayer finds a little bit of peace through something less active than taking a Hell Baron's horn and shoving it somewhere unpleasant. Demon Destruction is found hidden behind some inconspicuous crates in the Lazarus Labs that, once found, allow the player to aim for a high score in a cute, terribly addictive Match 3 game that plays somewhat like Bejeweled, with the classic sprite work and a bit more gore. Golf, Grand Theft Auto 5. In the world of Los Santos, there's really nothing you can't do. One of the finest examples of the frankly over-the-top amounts of detail that Rockstar managed to pack into their flagship franchise, a fully featured golf minigame can allow Trevor, Franklin, or Michael to tee off in a side activity that would match up with many full golf titles, complete with the kind of reactions you would expect from these characters when the game isn't going their way. Honestly though, what PGA Tour game wouldn't be improved by the chance to take a 3-wood to your caddy's knees when you hit it into the bunker? Pip-Boy Games Fallout 4. The 50s future punk vision of post-nuclear America seen in Fallout can be a bleak place, where sometimes you might just need a distraction from the Deathclaw that just tore you to shreds. Thankfully, you can always jump into your Pip-Boy and while away a few hours playing the fully featured text RPG Grognak and the Ruby Ruins, or perhaps Red Menace to remind you of a time when the worst we had to worry about was dodging barrels in another video game. The 6 Pip-Boy games found in the world of Fallout 4 had us spending nearly as much time as we spent exploring the wasteland, waiting for another settlement that needed our help. Digital Trips, Watch Dogs. Ubisoft's would-be iconic Watch Dogs series had a somewhat rocky start with a wannabe GTA cityscape and overpromised and underdelivered hacking mechanics. But the most memorable part of the original game came in the form of the psychedelic Digital Trips, which sees a dreaming Aiden Pearce take on cyborgs, demons, and mechanical spiders. The Digital Trips had the levity that Ubisoft would realize the series desperately needed by the time Watch Dogs 2 floated around. Settlements, Fallout 4. Another settlement needs our help. You may have heard this quote from Fallout 4's Preston Garvey that used to alert the player to a new Minutemen quest even if you haven't played the game, because the sheer frequency of them eventually elevated to meme status on the internet. But we still heeded the call anyways, because each time we rode to the rescue in a minute's time, it was just another excuse to explore a new area of the wasteland. Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance, Snake Skateboarding. Hideo Kojima and Konami are not to be underestimated when it comes to fantastic extra content within their games. When Metal Gear Solid 2 saw its first re-release with the Substance version polishing an already amazing postmodern game that is alarmingly just becoming more relevant with time, PS2 players got to experience Snake Skateboarding. The side mode was technically a sneak preview, see what we did there, of the upcoming Konami title, Evolution Skateboarding. Snake or Raiden could kickflip around the big shell struts to rack up higher and higher combos, grinding rails and completing missions in a very surreal, very engaging pro skater-like way. Tiger Tiger, Xenoblade 2. Ready to take a deep dive down into the Cloud Sea? Tiger Tiger is a side activity in the Nintendo Switch epic Xenoblade Chronicles 2 that functions as a full 8-bit arcade title, providing the player with optional materials to upgrade Poppy, one of the game's blades. Descending down as deep as the player can to collect treasure, then making it back up with as much as possible was so alluring that many players had to get farther into the actual story just so they could access later levels of Tiger Tiger. Bowling with Your Cousin, Grand Theft Auto 4. Turns out Bethesda isn't the only developer making meme-worthy side activities, with Rockstar seeing some early fame for the insistent calls of Roman to the player character Nico in Grand Theft Auto 4. The bowling was as polished as anything else in the game, as is Rockstar's usual MO, meaning that acquiescing to his calls at least was always a good time. Managing Your House, Skyrim. As the great Dragonborn, Fabled hero to the land, it's nice to get away from all that pressure and settle down with a place that you can really call your own. Introduced in the Hearthfire expansion, players could build and decorate their own home with whatever they wanted. Granted, Bethesda forgot to give any real incentive to use a house as anything more than just a storage closet for the endless wheels of cheese that we've stolen along the way, but like Rockstar Games shows us, sometimes it's the doing of something in and of itself that can keep us hooked until the wee hours of the morning. Slot Machine, Borderlands 2. After dragging back a big stock of loot from the far reaches of Pandora and settling back in the Sanctuary, players could find a few slot machines that could be interacted with, should they wish to try their luck further than they did raiding that Psycho base. Depending on the result, the machines could drop anything from the rarest of loot to an actual live grenade. This is Pandora, after all. Titanfall 2, The Gauntlet. Titanfall 2 opens up with an inspiring monologue about how the pilot is the dominant force on the battlefield due to their agility and skill. The Gauntlet is a tutorial level in the game that first allows players to come to grips with the hardcore parkour they're capable of, but becomes so much more as players really learn the game's systems. The simple timing challenge imposed by the game has pushed players to perfect their runs through the simple training gauntlet, sniping off perfect shots to take out the dummies as they glide effortlessly through the playground. Every fishing minigame ever. What exactly is it about fishing that we collectively love? There's been a lot of fish caught in video games. One of the best, however, came from Final Fantasy XV, where Noctis would pull over his slick ride and entourage of boys to do a little bit of fishing in one of the most involved fishing minigames in recent memory, and a side quest that we took every opportunity to take part in. Getting the giant ball in the tower, Destiny 2. When you can finally return to the tower at the end of Destiny 2, the most fun you can have in the new social space involves unlocking the giant Traveler Ball. It's not there by default and has to be unlocked by finding 4 separate smaller balls around the tower and getting them to launch themselves to their proper goals, which is a challenge. If you manage to make the impossible happen and the balls to cooperate, the gigantic Traveler Ball will spawn near the starting point, at least until an overactive Guardian kicks your prize out of bounds. 10 Pin Slammer, The World Ends With You. The contemporary JRPG cult classic The World Ends With You never got quite enough love from both players and Square Enix themselves. While that hopefully changes with the high-profile release coming to the Nintendo Switch soon, many fans of the DS original or the phone port know the power of 10 Pin Slammer. The deck of pin attacks that players were using in epic real-time RPG battles throughout the game took on a second life within the sub-game, with a Beyblade with superpowers take that proved very addicting. For a more modern comparison, Super Smash Bros. 3DS had Street Smash, which this is a lot like, only your graffiti pin could spawn a hammer. Please have this be online with the Switch version, Square, please. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from Gaming Bolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.